Alright, all you depraved animals, I know it's been a good hot minute since we've done a Balisong unboxing, so here's your hint. I traded up. Wow. What lies inside this mysterious box of mystery? Oh my. You are relieved of duty, box. It's a pretty neat little bag. It's very mini purse-esque. It's not a satchel, it's a purse. I've done it, guys. By myself. Alone. With no one else. I have discovered the heaviest matter in the known universe. I finally discovered an object that weighs more than the ego of like half the people in the Balisong community. This thing is so heavy and so dense, it makes a neutron star look like a squiddy. I know you guys can already see it down there in the corner, but you know, let me give you guys a quick... Ladies and gentlemen, today here at DenDenBMX, we're going to be taking a look at the CHAB from BRS. But not just any CHAB. We got ourselves a KUKRI CHAB. Yeah, it looks sick, doesn't it? It's so goddamn heavy. Execute Order B. Roll. So if you flip Balisongs or butterfly knives for the uneducated, you've probably gotten asked the question or heard this statement in some way, shape, or form. Someone at some point has probably approached you and been like, how have you not cut off all your fingers yet, dude? But if you actually flip, you know that that's kind of not really possible just because most Balisongs aren't heavy enough to have the weight to actually cut off your finger. Well, BRS decided to do something about that. You know, I read somewhere that to bite off your finger, you'd only need to use the same amount of force as you would to bite down on a carrot. But like your brain like won't let you bite down that hard on your own finger. I don't know if that's true, but that's an interesting science thing, if that's true. But anyway, many moons ago, I made a video on this thing called a CHAB clone. And that video hurt a lot of 40-year-old fifis. And, you know, I kinda am sorry that I did that, but it needed to be done. But the CHAB clone was the closest thing to an Alpha Beast that I had ever gotten to flip. I'd always wanted to try an Alpha Beast, but I never really like went out of my way to like save up and buy one for myself. You know, I was interested in them, but I wasn't like that interested in them. And if you've seen my last Balisong video, you know that I had a black Balisong's Reaper that I thought was pretty cool, but it didn't really gel right with me, so I decided to sell it. And right before I listed it, I was looking on the Balisong sale hashtag on Instagram, and I saw that a lovely man named KB Blades had just listed his latchless KUKRI CHAB that he had gotten from Blade Show East. So I casually hit him up and I was like, hey yo girl, you shit with that ass? And he was like, I ain't do be farting. And we ended up coming to a deal where he traded his BRS CHAB for my black Balisong Reaper, on top of a couple schmeckles I threw in on my side because I was trading up. And the next thing I knew, I had a BRS latchless that's hard to say. And the next thing I knew, I had a BRS latchless KUKRI CHAB in my hands. And the first thing I said while flipping it was, wow, this thing is heavy. And then the second thing I said while flipping this was, wow, that hurt. Oh look, my pinky's bleeding. A lot. You can see it right there, it's pretty much healed, but it's still got a little bit of work to do. Somehow I ended up closing it on this pinky, and it cut me a little bit, but then my dumbass, for some reason, closed the Balisong. And then I gave myself a second, even deeper cut right by my nail. But anyway, that's how me and Kukrina Chabinus met. Chabinus. I'm funny. Do we take an up-close look first and then flip it, or do we switch it up and flip the Balisong and then take an up-close look? I don't know, but we're gonna do one of those right now. But first, I just wanna say, if you guys are enjoying this video, I would really appreciate it if you let me know and help support the engagement on this video by leaving a like, leave a comment, give me your thoughts and opinions, maybe share the video around. And if you haven't already and you enjoy the content here on this channel, I'd really appreciate it if you help out your big bad boner daddy DenDen by hitting that subscribe button. Because every time you watch one of my videos and you aren't subscribed, you're slowly sucking the life force from me. And you know, it felt good at first, but now it kind of hurts. So I'd appreciate it if you just hit the subscribe button. Now I did oil this thing a day or two ago, but I think it's already pretty dry, so here's the dry sound test for the KUKRI CHAB. And now here's the sound test with some KPL medium thrown in there. Now I know you guys are dying for the answer to this question, which is, how does the CHAB Bussy actually flip? Well, the answer may shock you. And the answer is, this shit's heavy. Now, the Kukri latchless version of the CHAB, I'm pretty positive, is the absolute heaviest version of an Alpha Beast that you can get. This thing has got to be closer to 6 ounces than it is to 5 ounces. This thing is an absolute chungus. It's like me if I was a Balisong. Big and dense. Now, despite it weighing as much as a woolly mammoth, it actually flips decently well. And you see, this thing, it flips just a little bit slower, and I'm not really going to go out of my way to try and flip this thing intentionally fast, because one, this thing is sharp, which normally wouldn't bother me that much, but since this thing is so much heavier than an average Balisong, it's got me a little on edge, kind of like the Reaper, but for a different reason. If I try and flip this thing really fast and really hard, there's going to be a lot more momentum flying around, and if I end up getting cut, that momentum is all going inside me, and it's going to equate to a much deeper, much larger cut than getting cut the same way on a lighter Balisong. So I'm not really trying to go insano mode and flip like Sonic the Hedgehog with this thing. I'm going to take it a little slow and be a little bit more like those slow, methodical flippers that you see every now and then. I know Knife Zoid's kind of one of those guys. Now, while that's not really my preferred style, I'm fine. Well, that was a close call. While it's not really my preferred style of flipping, it's kind of cool that this Balisong almost forces you to flip a different way than you normally would. I mean, unless you already are a slow, methodical flipper. While it is cool that it makes me kind of flip different, I do wish that I could flip at the regular speed I do comfortably on this Balisong as I do on others. But I just really can't because it's heavier. Now, while this Balisong is an absolute chungus, it's actually balanced very well, and it's pretty neutral, with the majority of the weight being at the ends of the handles and at the end of the blade. While it is heavy, it's actually very well balanced, so you don't really have to worry about that. This isn't another Reaper situation where the Kukri is so offset and bent to where it's sticking out past the handles and it's kind of messing up the balance of the Balisong. They did a pretty good job giving the Kukri a nice bend without having it stick out way far past the handles. So it doesn't really mess with like how this thing performs in the air. That being said, I'm still a little nervous throwing this thing in the air because again, it's gonna have that much more momentum, and if I don't time it right and don't catch it right, it is gonna eat my cheeks. But I ain't no pussy. Yeah, those little double and triple aerials that I regularly do, I'm not really doing them that often on this Balisong, just because I'm a little bit on edge flipping this thing. If I mess up the timing on this one, especially if I'm doing a reverse aerial, there's a decent chance I might need stitches, so I'm just being a little bit more careful with this one. But the aerials do feel good, and they are pretty easy to time. It does aerial very nice, and they are pretty satisfying when you do catch them. And that momentum, while it does make it a little scarier in the air, it does feel pretty good. So scissors also feel pretty great on this Balisong. I'm not really going to try and do a double scissor or anything because I'm afraid little boy right now. Woo! Almost cut my nipple off. But enough of me injecting copium into my ass trying to justify why I'm being a baby flipping this thing. For other tricks, they just all feel really good. It's so weird. I don't like how heavy it is, but the balance on it is really good. So like every trick that I do still feels good. It just feels slower and heavier and more sluggish. But it's not like I'm struggling to do any trick. Like regular fans and choker fans feel amazing on this Balisong, really, because that momentum really does help it out with the spinning. And then Z chokers also feel really good on this thing. And stuff like ladders, while there is no jimping on this Balisong, which there should be, the titanium texture is still pretty grippy, and then just the momentum at the ends of the handles and the blade really helps that ladder come around pretty effortlessly. It really feels good. Other stuff like rollovers and twirls and stuff like that, it all feels really good. It's so weird to say. It's a good flipper. Like, it's a really good, well-balanced flipper, but it's borderline too heavy. And it just makes it to where I can't really flip this thing as comfortably as I would flip a regular, more normally weighted Balisong. Oh God, the parabolic got a little funky. Whew. Yeah, it flips good, but it's just borderline too heavy. Like for me, I think it's a little too heavy. I think just doing this flipping demo alone has given my right hand abs. But overall, it does flip good. You just need to maybe be a little more careful with this one than you would be with others, just because it's so much heavier. But the momentum that you get from this does feel good. So yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up the flipping demo for the latchless Kukri CHAB. Overall, flipping wise, I'd probably give it, I'd say I'd give it a 7.5, maybe even an 8. It does flip really good. It's just the only thing that holds it back is just how heavy it is. On to the rest of the video. Woo, wasn't that crazy? Now that we've either flipped the Balisong or taken an up close look at it, let us do the other one of those things that we hadn't done yet. Now. Yeah. But before we go on to that segue, I just want to take one more second and give a big shout out and a thank you to the current channel members, Demano21, Modern Balisong, Cosmic Steez, and Vanilla Gorilla Envy. It's because of you guys that I have the strength to hold up this Kukri CHAB, also known as the heaviest matter in the universe. So a huge shout out to those guys, and if you want to become a member of the Den Dick Brigade, you can go right down there and hit that join button and become a channel member today. Tiers start as low as $3 and you get access to exclusive members only videos on top of some other perks depending on the tier you choose, like the shout outs that those guys got. But if that Herculean commitment is a little too girthy and overwhelming for you, I totally understand, but if you still want to help contribute to the channel, you can also hit the brand new super thanks button down there if you feel so inclined. I'm done being a tool. Let's go to the other thing that we haven't done yet in this video, because I don't know, I still haven't made up my mind how I'm going to organize this video. So here's an up-close look at Senor Kukri CHAB. We'll look at it in the closed position first. As you can see, it is made out of some very high quality, solid titanium channel handles. BRS uses a tank pin system on all their Alpha Beasts, and I'm hoping these tank pins are extra strong because this is probably the heaviest version of the Alpha Beast that exists. Because this is a latchless version of the CHAB, so there is no latch cutout here, which just makes these handles even more beefy and even more dense. And then, of course, we have this beautiful Kukri blade made of S35VN. This Balisong uses a bushing pivot system that I'm sure is made out of some very high quality steel. The tolerances on this thing are fantastic. There is just the littlest bit of play. It essentially has no play. And then in the closed position, there is absolutely no tap to be heard whatsoever. So the tolerances on this thing are fantastic. The fit and finish on it is fantastic. The texture on the handles I do like and is very grippy, but it's a little rough. This is definitely like the simplest and most minimalist Alpha Beast handle design. And then as you can see, the inside of the channel, it's very clean cuts. And then the milling inside the channel kind of like swoops down. So there's a bunch of material back here at the end of the handle, which really helps with weight distribution. So I don't know if you guys have heard about weight balances on other Alpha Beasts. So like a standard Alpha Beast is like a really good balance. But then when you put like a Kukri blade on a regular Alpha Beast, a lot of people say it becomes blade heavy. And then once the channel handled Alpha Beast came out, especially the latchless version with a standard Alpha Beast blade, a lot of people said it was very handle biased. But when you put the heaviest version of an Alpha Beast blade on the heaviest version of Alpha Beast handles, it ends up being a pretty well balanced flipper, even though it ends up being quite a bit heavier than most other Balisongs. This thing's got some girth. It's a little intimidating. The blade is very sharp. The edge is holding up very nice. It is an S35VN blade steel, so it's very durable, very high quality blade steel. Definitely contributes to the big price tag this thing has, along with the very high grade titanium handles and like hardened steel they use to make the rest of this Balisong. Another thing I forgot to mention is bronze phosphorus washers. And again, I really hope these tank pins are pretty durable because this is a very bouncy Balisong and these handles fly into that tank pin and they've got some weight to them. So I really hope these tank pins are going to hold up long time and not fall out or squish in too hard. I wish the tank pin was longer. Look at how short and stubby it is. That's like a chode tank pin, especially when they put it in uneven like this one appears to be. So yeah, that's probably my one concern with this Balisong is that these tank pins hold up over time. Time will have to tell. But yeah, I think that is a nice little up close look at the Kukri CHAB. This thing is a very clean design. I really like the Alpha Beast look. But moving on with the rest of this video. So overall, this thing is a fine craft of workmanship. Who lets me talk, man? This thing is built like an absolute tank, and it weighs as much as one too. This one is just a little too heavy for me personally. Not to say that this is a bad flipper. It's actually balanced very well and flips pretty good. It has great momentum and you can still pick up quite a decent amount of speed, but also at the same time, you're running quite a bit more of a risk because since this Balisong is heavier, it's going to cut you way worse than a lighter Balisong will. Overall, I do like this thing, and I think I would give it maybe like an 8 out of 10. For a little bit there, I did consider keeping it, and I was even considering maybe sending it off to Hammer and get some nice milling work and a really crazy anode done on this thing. But I think the time that I've had with it is enough for me. And I think I'm going to end up letting this thing go and maybe trade it for a Medusa, you know, get my hands on one of those Medusies that everyone's talking about. Or I may end up selling this thing and use that money to build up a second replicant that I've been wanting to make for a while. Who knows, but I will not be letting go of this thing until I make a video comparing it to the CHAB clone. You guys knew this was coming, and it's coming. And so am I. And I tell you what, it's gonna have some opinions. But for now, I think that's gonna wrap up today's video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Once again, if you did, I'd appreciate it if you let me know and help support the engagement on this video by leaving a like, leaving a comment, give me your thoughts and opinions, share the video around. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already and you regularly enjoy the content that I put on this channel, and hit that bell notification so you can be the first one notified whenever I upload a new video. And of course, if you want to directly help support the channel, there's also the channel membership and that brand new super thanks button. And just to be a little bit extra of a tool, you can also follow me on Instagram at DenDenBMX. Thank you guys once again so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon.